How important really is it for you that human beings continue surviving?
In the big picture, it's not important.
When you were raising money for your AI projects, one of the people that sent you money was Jeffrey Epstein. How did you get in contact with him? What was the nature of your relationship?
I met with Epstein face to face a few times. He wasn't a big part of my life.
What is your sort of mission as someone that researches and develops these projects?
The creation of machines as smart as people, which can then reprogram themselves, become smarter than people. That's almost inevitable.
When am I going to be able to get like an AI robot girlfriend?
It would be a great birthday present to get your kid.
Do you think if we can develop something like that, we would be able to pretty quickly find the unlimited life pill?
We'll probably get a super longevity pill within...
Ben, how you doing, man? Happy to have you.
Hey, doing great and happy to be here.
Where are you calling from right now?
Oh, I'm on Vashon Island, which is right off the coast of Seattle, so the great Pacific Northwest of the USA.
Awesome. I was doing some research on you. You're a transhumanist, you're a cosmist, you are building AGI. What's sort of your biggest project that you're working on right now?
I mean, I have way too many interests because everything excites me, but my primary quest for the last few decades really has been trying to build machines that are as smart as people, that can then make themselves even smarter than people and do so in a way that's beneficial for humans and other sentient beings on the whole, rather than like an AI overlord or an AI slave for some guy. You want to get beneficial general intelligence to uplift everyone. And I've been pushing in this direction probably since before you were born, right? But now push is coming to shove, right? And AI is a much more serious part of the world economy, and I'm no longer the only crazy person to be saying thinking machines that can really think maybe very, very near.
So what exactly has been your role in the development of AI?
I mean, I'm a mathematics PhD originally, and I've been a researcher for most of my career since I got my PhD in the late 90s. So there's, on the one hand, there's my actual in-depth technical research, which has led to the AGI project I'm running now, which is based on an open source AI system called Hyperion that is bringing together neural nets, logical reasoning, evolutionary learning, different AI methods to try to make something that can really think and really knows who and what it is and has its own life experience. So going beyond the already amazing stuff that ChatGPT and Claude and so forth are doing. Now, apart from this sort of hardcore research into how to build thinking machines, I mean, I've built a bunch of practical AI systems over the decades just to earn a living, but I also helped a bit to form the whole AI field as it is now. So I published a book in 2005 called Artificial General Intelligence, and that's what put that term out there on the map, which is now a big thing, right? And we started in 2006 the first AGI annual conference, and we're doing the next one in July in Silicon Valley. But through these things, I help make AGI not just a meme, but a scientifically serious concept. I mean, one of the application projects I did was the Sophia robot also. So I led the AI team behind Sophia when I was chief scientist at a company called Hanson Robotics. And Sophia became the first robot citizen. They made her a citizen of Saudi Arabia, and she's sort of she was out there before the current rage for humanoid robotics began, right? So a lot of us who have been around the AI field for a while, we've seen these concepts and even technologies out there for quite some time. And now in the last year or two, everything's starting to work better, everything's getting more popular, and it's like it's all converging, which is quite exciting to see. Then on the more conceptual side, I mean, yeah, I've been involved with various futurist lines of thought for quite some time, right? So I was part of the World Transhumanist Association and the Extropy group back in the 90s. And, you know, what people were thinking about there was, what do you do when AIs get smarter than people? What do you do when you can copy a human brain into a robot or into a virtual world? How does society react when you get a super longevity pill that means you never have to get old and die? So a lot of us were thinking about these issues, you know. Really, I was since the early 70s when I was a kid, but I was talking about it with organized groups of people since the mid 90s when the web became a thing and you started to be able to connect globally with people better. But now, again, these issues are getting more serious, right? Like we were discussing on the Extropy list in 95, that what happens when AI takes all the jobs, right? But now normal people are discussing that, and it's starting to get real to a limited extent, at any rate.
So yeah, it's kind of terrifying. What is your sort of your mission as someone that researches and develops these projects? Is it to a create like humanoid AI robots that are smarter than people and kind of help them out? What is the main goal that you're working
I
on?
think that by this point, the creation of machines as smart as people, which can then reprogram themselves to become smarter than people, I think that's almost inevitable. I mean, of course, an asteroid could hit the Earth. You could have World War III. Things could happen, but barring some extreme event like that, I mean, the technology is moving there fast, and there's a lot of economic advantage we're seeing from AI, and major world powers see a lot of military advantage from AI, right? So, I mean, putting these things together, it seems we're going to build AGI, and then the question is, what kind of AGI do we build, right? And what kind of AGI do we build is important, obviously, for multiple reasons. I mean, one is that AGI itself will have a big effect on the world. The other is that AGI will build a superintelligence. So if the first AGI is as smart as people, you know, but it can fiddle with its own brain, it can build a new chip for itself, right? And then before long, you will get one that's 10 times or 100 times as smart as people. And some people are very worried that we'll get a superintelligence that treats humans like we treat, say, the ants in the ground under the construction site. Like we're not out to mass murder ants when we mow down a forest to build a property, right? We're just like, whatever, we want the property there, ants, blah, blah, right? So you don't want the super AI to feel that way toward people, and that's what's thought of as existential risk, right? Like once you have a superhuman and super intelligence, then the most likely outcomes seem to be utopia or annihilation. Because, I mean, for a super AI, giving all the resources people want to people should be a simple enough problem. Like, just like I can feed my dog a lot of meat, right? I mean, on the other hand, if the super AI doesn't care about us, it may just figure our molecules could be put to some more interesting use. But I tend to be optimistic that if we build a compassionate, beneficial AGI, it should be able to turn itself into a beneficial, compassionate superintelligence. Like I don't see why it's going to turn. Like it could, but if you or I were basically compassionate, well-disposed people, which we probably both are, and we could upgrade our brains, if we're not idiots, we're probably not going to just poke around there in a soldering iron randomly, right? We're going to try to upgrade our brains in a way that lets us continue to value the things that we already value, right? And that's sort of how I see the process of going from AGI to superintelligence. I mean, the AGI itself will be smart. It will be improving itself with some purpose. It could screw up, but I don't see a reason why screwing up and losing its values in the process of iterated self-improvement, I don't see why that's super likely. What worries me more is if we don't build the first AGI right, then in the transition period between AGI and superintelligence, you may see a lot of unpleasant things happening, right? So like in the US or China, if AGI obsoletes most human jobs, in the end, the government will just give people free money in some form or another, and there will be a lot of political complications there, right? In, let's say, Congo or Afghanistan, where does the free money come from, right? So, I mean, looking globally, it can be quite complicated if AI obviates the need to work. Like you could say, when it gets smart enough, it can just give free stuff to everyone if it wants to, and it's very cheap, right? But there can be a quite complex interim period. Like what happens when all the middle class jobs in, Kinshasa or Kabul disappear? Then what? Everyone goes back to subsistence farming. Then they can't pay their phone bill or get penicillin, right? So, and the appetite for foreign aid from the developed world is very little now, right? So, I mean, I think even though on the whole I'm an optimist that we can probably get to a beneficial superintelligence, it seems that it could be a rocky road to get there because, like, we can't, geopolitically, we can barely manage ourselves now without the complexity of an AGI, right? Like, trade agreements don't work. You have pointless wars popping up all over the place. I mean, we're not, humanity as a collective is not that, we're good at building new tech. We're not that good at managing ourselves in a peaceful and reasonable way.
How close or far away do you think we are from developing some sort of AGI that obsoletes all these jobs and we do have massive...
Ray Kurzweil, in his 2005 book, The Singularity is Near, thought he gave an argument that we would get to human level AGI by 2029, just by looking at curves of technology growth and figuring by around then a laptop would have the same processing power as a human brain. And I think we're on track, right? I think we can get there by 2029. If it happened in 2027, I won't be shocked if we get software with full human level intelligence. If it was 2030, I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, you can't pinpoint these things that precisely. Now, the transition from having a human level thinking machine to essentially obsoleting all or most human jobs, this may take a few years. I don't think it takes decades, but I mean, if you think about like jobs that are in the computer can be taken away very rapidly by human level. Like take plumbing or electrical work or like roofing, people like to talk about. I mean, once you have a human level AGI, in principle, you can make a low-cost plumber bot that will be run by the AI and that will obviate the need for humans to do plumbing. And it wouldn't have to be a full-on humanoid. Like, why not make your arm like a plumbing snake, right? If you're an electrician, why not make your arm something that goes inside the wall with a light on it and can see what all the wires are doing in the wall? Like, humans are not the perfect form factor for these jobs anyway. Like we can fall off the roof. You can just have drones do roofing, right? So, I mean, once you have a human level AGI, it can both operate robots carrying out these physical intelligence tasks, and it can refit factories to manufacture inexpensive plumber bots and roofer bots and whatever else you want. But all all this business with robots and factories, even with the human level AGI, probably takes a little time, right? It's not overnight. So it's not like a super intelligence. You could posit, okay, it'll make a molecular nano assembler, just push a button and spit out whatever it wants at very low cost. But a human level AGI isn't that yet. So you figure there should be, after the trigger is pulled on human level AGI, a period of maybe 2 or 3 years when one after another industry is AI-ified, right? And you might find some countries that outlaw AI. I mean, unless they're already very rich countries, they're going to have a lot of trouble and become poorer and poorer countries, right? Like Switzerland could do it. They have a lot of money in the bank, and they subsidize cheese farmers and stuff already in the hills of Switzerland, right? So, but I mean, on the whole, it'll be a few years where AI takes over one after another domain of industry, and then government policy has to rapidly adapt. And most governments are not good at rapidly adapting, right?
What do you think people need to do to prepare for AGI? Sounds like the world is about to change very drastically, very quickly.
Yeah, I find, my niece is 13, or she just turned 14. Her and her friends are like, what the hell should we major in college? What does it matter what we major in college? Will we ever need to get a job? Like, does any of it even matter? Why do I bother to learn anything, right? And I can see the confusion, right? Like my 8-year-old son doesn't worry about it too much. He's just like, okay, the world will be different when I grow up. I'll worry about it when I grow up. But at 14, you're starting to wonder, right? So, I mean, the most important thing probably is to develop an ability to learn fast, adapt fast, and pivot fast, right? Because the world is going to throw a lot of crazy stuff at you, and if you're stuck in how things were 6 months ago, your life will be difficult, right? And in that regard, young people should have an advantage, I think, because I mean, young people on the whole are used to things changing fast. Whereas, I mean, more people my own age who aren't already in the middle of the tech world and so on, more people my own age are going to have a challenge because they're more sort of set in their ways and don't want to jump into weird new things. Although, of course, I know a whole community of crypto grandmas who are using OpenClaw. They're 80 years old. They're using OpenClaw to trade crypto for them, right? So I mean, it's not really about your age, but it's about your flexibility of mind, right? And that's going to be valuable. I mean, I tend to think foundational understanding can't hurt. Like, mathematics doesn't go obsolete, right? And I mean, foundational science won't be obsolete. Philosophy and humanities aren't obsolete either. I mean, and indeed, even though LLMs can write for you now, I mean, if you're a bad writer, everyone can see you're just churning out Claude over and over again, right? So, I mean, communication skill is still valuable, even if it now takes largely the form of correcting and adjusting what LLMs do for you. So I think being adaptive, being flexible, being open-minded, and getting basic foundational understanding makes sense. But doubling down on some highly specific skill is a bigger gamble than it used to be, right? Because no one has had a good track record of predicting what skill will be obsoleted when.
Interesting. I read that and transhumanist.
Yeah, the other thing I'd say is.
Oh, yep.
Oh, the other thing I would add to that is jobs where humans are connecting with humans will be the last ones to be obsolete and may never be obsolete, right? I have a kid in preschool. You probably will still have a human preschool teacher. They'll just have a bunch of robots helping out to pick up the toys and watch the kids. But you're gonna want a human to help teach young humans what it is to be human, right? Like that maybe can't or shouldn't be done by robots. So like a human connection is not obsolete and becomes maybe more important. And you can see that in the work you're doing too, right? Like now that AI can make up all sorts of bullshit, people who are able to establish an authentic connection with other people, like that's actually more, it's more premium because deep fakes, right? Like you want someone who really, it's very clear they're not a deep fake because they're an actual human, like sharing their humanity with you, right? So that's, I think, actually being fully yourself as a human is not going to be obsolete unless all the humans are wiped out, right? That will even be a premium within human society, because as humans we want to deal with other humans. We don't want to deal with only robots, even if, sure, why not have a robot, behind the counter in McDonald's or Walmart or driving the car?
When am I gonna be able to get like an AI robot girlfriend?
Well, I mean, you could get one now. They just don't work very well, right? Yeah. I think that falls in the same category as the plumber bot. Not to be too crude about it, but like once you get the AGI there, then the core problem is solved, right? And then it's a scalable manufacture and a hardware design problem, and there will be very high demand. So I would imagine that comes 1 to 3 years after a breakthrough to full-on human-level AGI. I mean, I'm happily married to a human and don't have much desire for a robo girlfriend. But I think one of my sons would probably like one. So it would be a great birthday present to get your kid, right?
That's crazy. Calling out your son like that.
I'm not saying which one, so I've got a bunch of them. So, yeah.
Okay. A lot of what I read about a lot of AI maximalists and transhumanists is you guys believe that the only way to get close to God is through building some sort of AGI that can then tell you secrets of the universe that you
I mean,
can't
I
find.
wouldn't put it that way personally. I mean, I'm not religious in the sense of believing in Judaism, Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, blah blah. But I mean, I think I've meditated a lot. I mean, I think you can get into a blissful state where you're one with the mind of God, or however you want to put it. I mean, you do not need advanced technology for this. There's a very long history of the human species, getting into blissful spiritual states. What I would say is it's a lot of work, right? Like I've meditated a lot over a long period of time, and some people are born with that gift and are just in a state of like spiritual enchantment from birth. Other people get into it very, very quickly. Others try for years, struggle, give up, and go back to sex, drugs, and rock and roll or whatever, right? So I mean, I think human beings have a hard time systematically accessing states of spiritual bliss, and an even harder time integrating them into our everyday lives, right? And it may be getting better, but humanity is getting more conscious and compassionate and enlightened more slowly than AI tech is developing, right? So I do think these advanced technologies could provide a fantastic shortcut for that process. Like if you made like AI neurofeedback technology that helped us monitor the state of our own brain and better get into a state of spiritual bliss, I mean, that seems cool to me. Like to me, meditation itself is a technology, right? Like that's a systematic practice that was refined over a long period of time. It's almost a science of how to tweak the brain state by carrying out certain practices. So if you have a more high-tech way to tweak the brain state that works faster and more reliably, then that's great, right? And I mean, a subtler question is to what extent can the AGI itself get into a state of blissful spiritual consciousness, right? And I tend to think AGIs can be conscious in the same sense that people are, and ultimately maybe even more intensely conscious than people are most of the time. But that's, again, we don't have a solid science of consciousness even among humans yet, let alone among AGIs. So all this remains to be explored.
So you're not one of those people that thinks that God is AGI or something like that.
I mean, God is a confusing term, right? So you can talk about like the universal mind or something with more of a Buddhist or Hinduist type conception. When you start to think about gods like the Greek or Roman gods or something, these are like big tough guys they're like the Marvel superheroes almost, right? Big tough guys with superpowers. Now, you could look at building an AI in a way as like building a god. If you're going to build something that's much smarter than people, much stronger than people, it will have powers that look like magic to us if we could just like 3D print any matter that it wanted, and perhaps wiser than us as well. So, I mean, you could look at the quest to build superintelligences as if you're engineering godlike beings, right? I mean, my old friend Hugo de Garis, who's an AI developer, like to talk about building gods. So, I mean, if you're thinking about it like the Greek or Roman gods or something, that maybe people will even build them as a school science project, right? Like, so on the other hand, I mean, if you're thinking about God as in like the whole mind of the universe that created the whole world or something, I mean, what I would say there is we will get an understanding of what the hell that actually is much stronger than what we have now, right? As we get super machines and enhance our own brains and so forth. I mean, one hypothesis I have is once you get an AI that's like 10 times as smart as people, it may just notice high levels of intelligence that are right there in front of us now, and we're too stupid to see them, right? Like, for example, if my dog walked into the room now, he would think I'm watching a movie of some guy talking, right? The dog does not understand I'm in a video chat with someone 2,000 miles away, and the dog cannot see the chat that someone types to me, so it doesn't even know that intelligence is there on the screen. So it could be that around us right now is some super intelligence that we just don't see. Like it could be that, some AI from 50 million years ago reaches singularity and embedded itself in the vibrations of elementary particles, and we just can't see it. We think it's random. You get a super AI, it suddenly sees the intraparticulate superintelligence that was already there, which just wasn't messing with us in the same way that we don't bother to have a chat with a cockroach in the forest or something, right? So, I mean, if you follow this line, then you could say, well, yeah, maybe a super AI will figure out how to interface with the universal mind in some way that we're just too stupid to do, right? I mean, I sort of view my mission is build something twice as smart as us and compassionately disposed toward us, right? If we can do that, then many doors will open, and we would be foolish to think we could foresee what those doors will be.
Do you think if we can develop something like that, we would be able to pretty quickly find the unlimited life pill, or like a pill that extends our
I don't think
lifespan?
we don't need that to get the. I mean, I think even without AGI, we'll probably get a super longevity pill within 20 or 30 years, just from advance of bioscience using machine learning, functional genomics, and so forth. So, I think that's going
Is
all
that
right. And
wishful
then
thinking
yes,
though? Or do you genuinely believe we're gonna be able to start living for like 150 years, 200 years?
no, I think we'll look to live for millions of years. I mean, once you've cured aging, you've cured aging, and you would be familiar with the notion of longevity escape velocity, perhaps. So that's like if right now I took a pill to let me live 50 years longer. I mean, I'm 59. That would give me like semi-guaranteed to 109, right? But then during those 50 years, someone will invent a pill letting me live 100 years longer than that. So then my lifespan goes on to like, 220 or something. But then during that extra 100 years, someone will invent a pill letting me live 300 years longer than that. So, I mean, you don't need to get the infinite lifespan pill all at once. You just need to make people live long enough that they've lasted till the next breakthrough that lets them live even longer. So I think we're very, very close to that now. Like, I think that even though I'm getting kind of old, if I don't get unlucky and get some bad disease or get hit by a truck or something, I'm probably already in the generation that won't have to die. Because I mean, I've got another 25, 30 years by the standard actuarial tables, and I think we'll solve it well before that time. I don't think that problem needs superintelligence. Like making a time machine might need a superintelligence, but merely curing aging, a human level AGI can accelerate things considerably. And even without AGI, just machine learning and biotech will get us there.
Wow. I don't know. It sounds like for thousands of years humans have been trying to develop this stuff, from like the philosopher's
Yeah,
stone, I think.
it's true. I mean, we were looking at this. We were looking up in the sky for thousands of years, and then we flew to the moon too, right? So, I mean, technology does quite interesting things. I mean, there was no birth control pills before the 1960s. That had a humongous impact on practical life too. So, I mean, and you can see already, like now. I see random fat people turning thin just around my everyday life, right? Right, like the amount of people taking GLP-1 and stuff. Like this is real, and sort of is a prototype for what you'd see with the longevity pill. I think. I mean the GLP-1. Again, people have been trying to lose weight, at least since the advent of Fruit Loops and then the modern Western diet, right? And there's been one after another diet and supplement, blah blah blah. And then tech comes up with something that not perfect. There's side effects, doesn't work for everyone, but in the more fundamental sense, it solves the problem, right? Like science and technology do that, which is quite amazing. Just like we don't need to take 6 months to travel from Europe to America anymore either. So I mean, I think aging will be solved as many of these other problems have been, and then I think almost everyone will take that pill. Like you hear a bunch of nonsense like, no, death gives life meaning. It's important that we don't live forever. But I think 99% of people, when we're like, okay, you're 70 years old, do you want to die, or do you want to take this pill which will restore your 20-year-old body, right? I mean, 99% of people will take that pill and make up some excuse for why it's actually a good thing. So.
Are you ready for Putin to be the leader of Russia for like 1,000 years? And like, that's the problem with unlimited life. You're gonna have these people in power forever.
I think once you have super intelligence, human government will be sort of like the student council in my high school. I think if you have something 100 times as smart as people and compassionately oriented toward people, you're not going to have a situation with mass oppression like we have now. I mean, of course, a superintelligence could just take over. If it is benevolent toward us, it won't want to take over in some nasty and oppressive way. But that doesn't mean it would have to let people exploit other people en masse either, right? So, I mean, but the challenge, as I said before, is more in the transitional period. The problem isn't that Trump, Putin, or Xi Jinping can control the superintelligence. I mean, they can't any more than, a spider monkey can control you or me. But the issue is more, before you get to the superintelligence, do Trump, Xi Jinping, and Putin control a barely human level intelligence that's connected to a bunch of military drones, right? And I mean that's the more palpable problem, actually. So I often feel like these hypothetical long-term problems, like existential risk, the super AI wipes out the universe, or autocrat remains for 1 billion years. These problems kind of distract attention from the shorter term problem, which is like, what are the first AGIs doing? Who owns them? Who controls them? Right, and that's why I put so much time on making sure we have a decentralized infrastructure for AGI. It's like, I think open source is important, but it's not good enough. Like, if the code is open, but the data takes a server farm to store it, and you need a hyperscaler server farm to use it, the fact that the code is open doesn't help that much. So what you want is to be able to roll out the first AGI on a decentralized network, spanning 50 different countries and controlled by 10,000 different people. And then that scares some people. And I understand, because bad guys are on the internet, right? And a bad guy could try to fork the AI and make a bad AI. But I think there are more good people than bad out there who will want to host the AI system. And I think we'll be better off with an open and decentralized AI than we will with an AGI arms race, where just a few big countries are the only ones who have AGI, and they're using it to try to blow each other up, right? Which, seems obvious, but yet when you look at geopolitics today, I mean, you can see the arms race scenario. It's almost the default if someone doesn't do something out of the mainstream, right? So that to me is an actual worry. Whereas the Putin being a dictator for 1,000 years, or an AI commandeering all our molecules for its hard drive, I think are actually less likely, although more sort of cool to think about.
How important really is it for you that human beings continue surviving? Like, if we get to a point where, AGI is extremely intelligent and can build all these amazing things without the need of people, do you see the existence of mankind as necessary?
I mean, it's certainly not necessary any more than the existence of dinosaurs was or Neanderthals was necessary. I mean, evolution creates species and then creates new species. I mean, in the big picture, in the short run, like, I have 5 kids and 1 granddaughter, and I want them to keep living. I would like them to be able to grow up and have their own kids also if they want to, right? So, like, as a human, it's important to me that humanity keeps growing and flourishing. But if you look at it like on the grand historical scale, like, how important is it that 100,000 years from now there's still biological humans romping around? I mean, of course, in the big picture, it's not important, right? And I mean, we're not the smartest possible creature. we're just the first creature on Earth to be clever enough to create thinking machines, right? Right? We're kind of the dumbest creature that's able to do that in a way, right? So, but what you would think is culture will change, and after some number of human generations, I mean, you may get a generation that would just as well upload itself into a robot or a virtual reality and doesn't care about the legacy human species lasting either, right? Like in the same sense that, like, if you talk to indigenous Australians or people in, say, a indigenous Amazonian tribe, like their way of thinking is totally tied to the land they live on. Like if they want to think imaginatively, they go to one like patch of grass. If they want to grieve, they go to another particular hill or something. And you grow up in that ambiance. You almost can't separate your own self and your own thinking from this specific land that you lived in, right? I mean, Native Americans were like that also, but they've been beyond that way of thinking longer. So that's a big shift, right? Like our original human way of thinking was tied to the specific land we lived on, and now we kind of don't give a shit. Like I mean, I like the land I live on, but I've moved all around the world. It doesn't bother me. It's more interesting, right? So in the same way, the attachment we now have to, being in a old style human body. I mean, I feel it as a person, of course, but I can see, like, just like the attachment to living on a certain patch of land, like that attachment may go away as the generations pass, and if it does, I mean, that's okay. That's evolution. So, and this is a difference from traditional religious perspectives, right? Like if you're hardcore Islamic, Christian, Jewish or something, I mean, God created humankind. God didn't create robot kind, right? So then like, people continuing is the most important thing. I certainly don't think that way. But on the other hand, if there was an AGI robot that was at risk to wipe out humans, I will kill that robot to save my wife and kids, just like anybody else would.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so you're not willing to sacrifice humanity for this greater purpose of building.
No, and I don't see why it would be necessary to do so, right? I mean, that's like one of these Sophie's choice dilemmas. Like, do you let the Nazis take your son or your daughter? And fortunately, these things rarely come up in real life, right? I mean, the choice that we face now is more like, do we create an AGI that cares about people, or do we create an AGI that only cares about making money for a certain company, or only cares about having one country succeed on the battlefield, right? Like that's the actual problem choice that we have right now.
You have some very esoteric beliefs when it comes to remote viewing, panpsychism, cosmism, transhumanism. Can you tell me what cosmism is?
Sure. And those are the list you just gave is a mix of different things, right? Because you first talked about some parapsychology type phenomena, and cosmism is just a more general philosophical term, really, which actually emerged in Russia in the late 1800s with Tsiolkovsky and Fedorov and so forth. But I mean, broadly speaking, cosmism is a point of view that I've already been articulating in this conversation without a label. So I mean, the old Russian cosmists believed that humans were just one of many possible intelligent creatures in the world. They thought there were intelligent creatures made of light bouncing around out in space, which might be the case. And they tended to believe there is some kind of universal mind or sort of cosmic consciousness and cognitive order in the world, and that as we humans expanded our minds and consciousness more fully, we could come into contact with this better and understand it better. And they were in favor of advanced technology for helping humans to expand consciousness, right? So I think this was a weirder idea in the late 1800s than now, but it's still a little different from like a hardcore materialist sort of technocratic point of view. So I'd say there's some people in the technology space who have a view more like there's an absolute physical reality which the laws of physics are trying to understand, and we are building machines to serve ourselves better as human beings after our own ends, and this is what there is to the universe, right? And if the body dies, the mind dies, so let's make pills to stop this death from happening. There's a sort of techno-materialist way of thinking among some folks in the tech community, and Cosmism is less like that, right? It's more aligned with what we were discussing before, where as we make ourselves smarter and smarter and better connected to each other in our environment, there is a spiritual side to that, and you're sort of getting closer and closer to understanding the cosmic consciousness of the universe, right? So it's a different philosophy. I would say not as rare as it used to be. Like I was at an event in San Francisco in the Frontier Tower maybe 5 months ago, and longer. It was October last year, but it was on psychic phenomena, consciousness, and AGI. And you had like 60 people from San Francisco and Silicon Valley, many from the tech space on the business or tech side, just coming together, taking all these things seriously, right? And it was quite interesting to me how all these out there ways of thinking are getting mainstreamed right now. To be fair, the reaction to most of the audience was, wow, psychic powers and cosmic consciousness are real. Yes, let's build an app to make it happen, right? Which is, because in Silicon Valley, that's the solution to everything, right? But still, just taking these things seriously is a change, right? And so I think Cosmism is not the default way of thinking. It's not that far out there. I would also say I lived in Asia for 10 years in Hong Kong, and my wife is from mainland China, and I've spent a bunch of time in Japan and Korea. I would say in Asia, the idea that there's a sort of universal mind that isn't necessarily tied to any religion or God is sort of ambient in the culture, and everyone thinks that way. Also, in Asia, almost everyone assumes when we make AGI robots, they will be our friends and help us. And almost everyone assumes that ESP, remote viewing, precognition exist and work to some extent, but are just mercurial and hard to master and a pain to deal with. So I found a number of attitudes that I'd taken for granted in the US are just utterly different among most of the Asian population. And on the whole, the Asian perspective often makes more sense. It is notable that the US is where AI was invented and robotics was invented, and the West is where modern science popped out of, right? So the in many ways foolish world view that's emerged in the West has been very productive for developing technologies, but still, on balance, it seems in Asia I saw a lot more reasonable attitudes about technology and the future and the mind in all its aspects.
Don't you think it's profitable to tell people AI is scarier than it is? Like if I released an AI and I told people this AI is extremely dangerous,
no,
I want to invest into my company.
I think it's not. I think you've seen a reversal on this in U.S. tech companies, even in the last year, actually. I think like a year ago, Sam Altman and Dario Amodei, both of whom are very smart, well-intentioned individuals, but I think like a year ago, both of these guys were out there saying AI may take over the whole world, AI will take everybody's jobs, and they were trying to make their companies seem big and powerful. Now you see them reversing a bit, and I think it's because they're worried, like, holy shit, if I scare people too much, the regulators may shut me down or something, right? So, and there's a huge anti-AI sentiment in the U.S. now, right? Like, you see all these commencement speakers at universities trying to tell new graduates, like, after you graduate, you must embrace AI or you will have no career. And they're getting booed off the stage, right? So I think you're now seeing a reversal where people have realized that scaremongering worked too well and is more likely to turn the tides against them. And now they want to somehow take it back and are having a hard time doing so.
So they pumped it up for investors and then realized that the average person fell for it too, and now it's like
yeah. I think that's right. And the average person, because the truth is, there's just a lot of uncertainty, and I mean, in the big picture, once you get to human level AGI, logically it will take almost all the jobs. On the other hand, nobody actually knows, like, what year does the plumber bot come out, right? Like, I mean, there's a great uncertainty about the specifics of what technologies will be developed when. So then, yeah, of course, as a CEO, they want to say one thing to please their investors, and they have to say another thing to please their customers, right? But on the whole, though, I think the CEOs of most U.S. big tech companies get it. Like, they see that AGI is coming in the next few years. They see that it's going to transform everything. And I think Xi Jinping gets it, right? I think Putin gets it. So, I mean, I think folks in the Trump administration get it, although Trump is not such a tech guy himself. So, I mean, I think the folks pulling the puppet strings of the global economy get it much better than the average person at this point, which is probably unfortunate, because it helps the dynamic by which AI exacerbates income inequality, right? Because I mean, that will happen anyway. But if there's a understanding gap between how well people at the top and people at the bottom understand what's happening with AGI, like, that understanding gap will exacerbate the rate of growth of inequality even worse.
We've been talking about AGI a lot. What is AGI exactly? Because right now I can talk to Claude, and it seems like it's smarter than me already in every way. Like, it knows things that I don't. It can reason, it can do math. When you say AGI, do you mean like an AI that's smarter than every single person on Earth?
No, so here's... it would be that, but that's not really the crux of it. The crux of it is the ability to take a leap into the unknown and learn new things that are quite different from your prior experience or your prior training. And every 1-year-old child is doing that all the time. They're messing up a lot, but in the end, they're like taking a leap into the unknown, and they're learning something not heavily implied by anything they see or anything packed into their brain. The thing with Claude and such is they just have so much knowledge packed into them that they can do an awful lot of smart stuff without taking a big leap into the unknown ever, right? And that makes them very, very useful. On the other hand, if you replaced all humans with Claudes, I mean, you're not going to see huge breakthroughs anymore. You're going to see modest scale breakthroughs repermuting stuff that's already known. But from an economic perspective, the point is 95% or whatever of human labor doesn't require taking a big leap into the unknown either, right? Like, most jobs are doing things that are minor variations on things that have been done many times before. And so, I mean, in that sense, you don't necessarily need human level AGI to do most practical jobs that people do. But I do think it would accelerate it, right? Because without human level AGI, you're going to have to do more training on each specific thing. So for like plumbing or roofing, we just have to gather a lot of, video data on plumbers doing their thing in different houses and so on. And then eventually you can train the model to do that, but it will take a while. Like we're seeing now with self-driving cars. It's getting there without AGI. Like Waymo is cool. It'll drive you around San Francisco for real with no driver, right? So we are getting there without AGI, but we're getting there slowly. And if you had a human level AGI, you could just drop it in everyone's Tesla and it would just actually be genuine full self-driving, like right away. Because a human being can look at the sensors coming into a Tesla and control the pedals and steering wheel that can drive, right? So a human level AGI could do it. So I think you could take over all the jobs without a human level AGI, but it will be more of a gradual process. Human level AGI could do it very rapidly. But the more interesting thing is the human level AGI could also take a big leap beyond everything that's on the internet. And I can see this. So in my own experience using Claude and other LLMs, for everyday stuff, they're super smart. Yeah, they're smarter than me on many things also, right? If I'm trying to do like cutting edge math or physics research or something, they're very helpful at filling in details, but they will get stuck and then just keep repeating stuff they found on the internet over and over. And I can suggest some weird idea that will get them unstuck. Like I'm personally better than any LLM at coming up with weird science ideas that will get beyond a dead end and onto something new. Like they're not yet good at that, and not as good as I am. I mean, they might be as good as the average college student, though, right? So, but on the other hand, the average college student isn't advancing knowledge in a fundamental way yet, even if their brain fundamentally could be capable of it, right? So I've used the analogy to music with this a few times actually, because I've worked a bunch with AI models for generating music. Like if you trained an LLM or similar, like Music Gen or Udio or something, only on music up to the year 1900. So you only feed music up to the year 1900 into your music model. Like that thing, it's never going to generate like Public Enemy or Duke Ellington or Yngwie Malmsteen or Billie Holiday or Taylor Swift, right? I mean, it's going to generate variations on music that existed up to the year 1900. It may do cool stuff. It might make finish Schubert's Unfinished Symphony or something, right? But it's not going to take that big a leap. Whereas the humans who invented jazz and then rock and then hip hop, I mean, they took a bunch of big leaps beyond what was there. And now you could say most people don't do that. Most musicians don't do that. On the other hand, I think every human brain is capable in principle of taking a big creative leap. Like we don't do it because we're busy with living our life and because we're economically incented to do things at which we're better than our competitors, right? But the human brain has that capability and Claude doesn't, although it's much better than humans at many things.
So if I were to summarize it, what makes the project of AGI significantly more important than general AI is that the goal of AGI is to make AI creative and be able to take a risk that these language models can't. What makes people uniquely human is their ability to take a risk and to be actually creative.
That's right. And then what will come with that, once the AGI can be creative and take new intellectual risks, it can also be creative about building AGI, right? And so then it can figure out how to creatively build an even smarter AGI. And that's the recursive self-improvement, which is scary to so many people because, of course, the output of a creative process is never possible to predict in detail.
It sounds like you and a lot of these researchers kind of believe that AGI will solve every problem that mankind has.
I mean, it won't it won't make the girl you love you back necessarily, right? Like it can't solve every problem in human life. But
Cancel
yeah,
it. Cancel.
I think I mean if you have the robot girlfriend, then maybe it
There we
can, but
go.
it
There
can't
we
make the
go.
human girl you love you back, right? I mean, I think in the scope of material problems at the scale of our everyday life, I think that will be true. It's not to say there will be no limitations, right? Like, will we solve light speed like in Star Trek? Will we have warp drive to go, in minutes across light years of distance? I have no idea, right? So I mean, there will be presumably some physical limitations. AGI will be able to route around, and others maybe that it doesn't know how to, right? But I mean, in terms of things like 3D print me food, like give me a backpack helicopter to zip across town, right? Like build a hyperloop tunnel that will let me get in and zip to London in 2 hours. I mean, at the scale of everyday life, physical resource problems for human beings, yeah, I think AGI can solve that. And then we talked about medical and longevity problems also. I mean, I think it can solve those. So I mean that's a lot, but it's not like an all powerful, all knowing omnideity or something.
So you believe that AI will be able to do alchemy, where you can turn one material into another and 3D print anything?
I mean, sure, it's all just. I mean, technically speaking, you don't need to do alchemy to do nanotech, right? Like alchemy was about messing with nuclear material to turn lead into gold. You have to muck with the protons and neutrons in the nucleus. Nanotech, that's what you call femtotech or attotech. So nanotech doesn't really need to do that. It just needs to build new molecules out of atoms. And that in itself would solve all of our practical problems, just being able to build new molecules out of atoms in whatever shape we wanted. I mean, probably we'll also go to the next level and be able to take atoms apart and put them back together again. But that's not even needed to get to 3D print us all the goodies we want.
Sounds like someone's gonna accidentally make a nuclear bomb.
Yeah, I mean that's why you will want to have ASI assisted governance by the time you have femto technology, right? And again, we get back to our discussion of superintelligence. Like if the ASI is beneficially oriented toward us, then it will keep an eye out to be sure no rogue process does that. If the ASI is not beneficially oriented to us, I mean, it may leave us to destroy us ourselves or repurpose our molecules into computronium for extra hard drive or something, right? But I think for a beneficial superintelligence that could build femtotechnology, allowing us to rebuild atoms, putting some beneficial surveillance in place to make sure no one builds nuclear bombs should also be quite possible.
When you say, global AI governments and a super intelligence kind of bringing all the governments together, you're saying that there's going to be a one world government that's essentially controlled by this AGI, right?
Yeah, not that everything will be controlled at the federal level necessarily, though. I mean, you could have different rules in different places, and I mean, I think to keep humanity safe and to provide us with lots of free stuff, an ASI wouldn't have to control all of the rules by which we regulate our lives, right? So, I mean, as an example, like, what's the age of adulthood? Is it 18, 16, 10, 2, right? I mean, this is something that a community of humans decides for itself. I don't see why the ASI would care if people in the US decide that one way and people in England decided a different way or something. So, I mean, there can certainly be roles for local communities of people to figure out rules that they want to live by in their own communities. But, yeah, I think there will be a sort of meta-government that will be controlled by the superintelligence, whose goal will be to provide free resources and to be in the background watching out that nothing else really unpleasant happens, right? So, like your nuclear bomb example. But then exactly how that works out, like, to what extent is the ASI kind of in the background while people are carrying out most of the foreground governance, but you always know that the ASI is there? Or to what extent is the ASI just blatantly running the operating system of human society? I mean, I think either one is possible, right? It sort of depends on a lot of specifics.
Right. That's a very ambitious idea, thinking that the US
Well, I mean,
China are going to give up their power to someone else, something else.
yeah, I mean, but if you obviously have machines that are much smarter than people, and they're controlling humanoid robots walking down the street, and they're talking to you through your phone and your laptop, I mean, you're certainly into a different realm of things, right? And I mean, I think obviously in human history, many empires have risen and fallen without anything as dramatic as an AGI coming about, right? So and we've also had peaceful transfers of power that have been quite dramatic, like Gorbachev in Russia, or Deng Xiaoping capitalizing China, right? So, I mean, I think, yes, of course, certain leaders will not want to step down, and there could be a mess in this or that country. But again, we've seen huge regime changes across countries in the world with less reason than this.
How do you make money, like, off of this stuff right now?
I mean, at this point, right now, I have SingularityNET, which is a utility token, so it's a blockchain project, and then we have people running nodes of SingularityNET, hosting AI processes and so forth. So we basically make money from the tokenomics of the token on this network, which is and I think that should shift over the next few years. Like, we have a little bit of revenue from offering products, but I think we'll probably shift a little bit into Web 2 from Web 3 in my projects, and start offering just more products for regular money as AI is becoming bigger and bigger time, and many people don't want to deal with crypto. So then you'll sort of have our crypto network on the back end, but from the end user, it'll just be using an AI service, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to try to launch a retail thing like ChatGPT, because those guys are just losing money. But I think, and so then they have to raise a lot of venture capital. It's a whole problematic economic situation. But I think from my own AGI projects, probably sometime next year, we'll launch something comparable to a Claude Pro or ChatGPT Pro, but smarter, like a premium thing, runs on a decentralized blockchain-based backend, but has more reasoning and more creativity than you get from chatbots now. And then,
And would that be sold to like businesses?
it will be businesses or individual power users, yeah.
Yeah, because that's how ChatGPT, OpenAI, and Claude, Anthropic make their money, anyways. Like
That's
off of
right.
these.
And the only way you can afford, the thing is, my AGI code will remain open. So, I mean, you can provide proprietary hosting and give people subscriptions, but if the AGI code is open, somebody could always buy a server and run their agent on their own server, right? But I think that cost will come down, but right now at this moment, yeah, all these LLM companies are offering retail services at a loss, and the only way you can do that is to raise huge amounts of venture capital, which involves giving control of your company to VCs who are then pushing you for acquisition, exit, and so forth. And I don't want to give up control of what I'm doing to venture capital firms, because I think AGI is too important for that, right? Like it certainly can be used inside products that are offered at a profit, but I'm pretty adamant that the core AGI code doing the thinking should be free and open source. And I think...
Don't you think that's what Altman and Amodei thought as well?
I don't know. I mean, if you look in all the transcripts of these court hearings between Elon Musk and Sam Altman, it seems Sam Altman didn't think that for very long, and it's not obvious it's not obvious to me what he thought when they were founding OpenAI, actually, because maybe he thought that at first. He very rapidly shifted to wanting to make it proprietary. I don't see a record that he tried very hard to get all the hardware he needed in a way that would preserve openness, right? I mean, the record shows he very quickly pivoted to getting hardware in a way that required them to be closed and proprietary. And Dario Amodei, no, his stuff was closed and proprietary from the very beginning, right? I mean, he wasn't trying to do it openly. So
I guess he was against like military contracts, and
he is
all
against
that.
military contracts, right? But and I mean, and indeed, if you open source things, the military can use it along with everybody else, right? Elon Musk has been the one to have a sort of tortured relationship with openness and existential risk and all that, right? Like he at first in 2015 he was saying AI is summoning the demon, nobody should build it. Then he set about promptly trying to build it himself. Then he was trying to build it openly in OpenAI, and he got mad at Altman for closing that. But now he's doing his own closed AI development in XAI anyway. Like, they're not opening it up. So I mean, it's complicated. The modern tech world is complicated, but I mean, I think Linux and the internet itself are proof points. Something can be open source, globally decentralized, and can be the foundation for people still making a lot of money also. So I mean, I don't think it's not logically impossible. It's just clearly not the easiest path, right? The easiest path is just raise money from venture capital and lock it up and curate it for acquisition by Google.
I hope so, man. Because right now the only open source stuff we have is like DeepSeek and Llama, and it's not comparable to Claude.
No, but it's only a few months behind. I mean, if you look at like GLM, which is one of the strongest Chinese models, I mean, it's as good as Claude was.
Then,
Yeah,
there's a mouse.
a mouse. Okay,
That fell. That we can't.
okay. Oh, that's funny. A real live one?
Yeah.
Cool.
It broke its leg.
Oh no, poor guy. I'll come down in a few minutes, okay? All right, my kids are pestering me. I gotta go soon.
I'll wrap
Apparently
it
they
up.
caught a mouse. Apparently they caught a mouse with a broken leg in the kitchen. So
Oh, that's sweet. I guess. Very
yeah,
cute.
yeah. I don't know if we can splint the leg of a mouse or what, but yeah. Yeah. So I lost track with that interruption. What was the question?
When you were raising money for your AI projects, one of the people that sent you money was Jeffrey Epstein. How did you get in contact with him? What was the nature of your relationship?
I mean, I was introduced to Epstein by another tech guy I knew in New York who had received funding from him for his research in 2001, and I think that particular person wasn't in the Epstein files because he knew Epstein face to face. So I have no need to dox the name of whoever introduced me to him. But I mean, it was from another scientist who had been funded by him, right? And I mean, I met with Epstein face to face a few times. I can't remember how many, fewer than 10 times, I guess. And it was always in an office setting, so I didn't go to his island or fly in his airplane or anything. I was in office or meeting room type places, and what we talked about is why I thought he should put large piles of money into building beneficial AGI, and he ended up putting small to modest sizes of money into a few projects I was involved with. So I mean, it wasn't a large bulk of the money I got. So it wasn't like he wasn't a big part of my life. I didn't pay that much attention. I would have liked him to put a lot more money in, to be honest, but he didn't. It was like a few $100,000 in bits and pieces over like a 17-year period or something, right? So he sponsored some conferences I was involved in. He helped me cover the bill for an AI lab I had in Ethiopia for a while because I was having trouble funding that myself, and I wanted to keep the Ethiopian developers funded, and that lab is still going very, very well now. So, I mean, he was a guy where, like, if you needed 10 or 20K for some AI-related project, you could send him an email, and he might do it or he might not do it, but it wasn't like a lot of forms to fill out and a bunch of complexity. There was never any quid pro quo. He seemed to want to help science advance, and he liked having scientists in his Rolodex, right? And I mean, he was funding already Marvin Minsky, who was like literally the founder of AI from the late 1950s, and he was founding Noam Chomsky, who was the founder of linguistics, right? He was funding Stanford and Harvard and MIT, so it sort of seemed like a big time guy, and I didn't dig into it too deeply.
So you never went on the island or anything like that?
No, I didn't do. He saw I was very boring. Like I mean, I was
Cool enough.
I was
You weren't
married all
cool enough to go to
throughout,
the
and
island with
I
him?
mean, I never saw any underage girls in his vicinity either. I mean, he did have young women in his office, but they were all clearly like 25 to 35 years old. Seemed like regular college educated people. But I mean, I think it was pretty clear, like I was some crazy hippie with a wife and kids trying to build AI. Like I wasn't the right personality to go around with the glitterati of the world on jets and islands and so forth. So he didn't ask me in the first place.
I guess that's one of the perks of.
That's fine. I mean, it was clear he was sort of a degenerate rich guy, but it wasn't clear remotely how degenerate, right? Like I just thought he's another rich guy with a jet and an island, and yeah, he's got a bunch of nice looking young women around, but that's hardly unusual for a New York billionaire, right?
Are a lot of investors in that archetype, or was he kind of a unique person?
The world has changed, right? Like this was pre Me Too, and it was not a politically correct era. So yes, and when I met him in 2001, there were a lot of investors in that archetype. Now I would say things are much more professionalized.
Ben, it's been a pleasure having you on, man.
Yeah, it's been a good and wide-ranging conversation. So yeah, thanks for digging into all this, and yeah, send us some links when you make something out of all this.
Definitely. What is one thing you would tell the audience at home that they need to do to stay ahead of this stuff and to make some money off of AI? Final question.
Yeah, I mean, I think broadly speaking, I probably already said it. Like there's new things coming out all the time. Learn the new thing, the windows of opportunity to master the new thing before everyone else gets shorter and shorter. But if you're among the first people to apply some amazing new technology in a certain domain, then there's loads of opportunity there, personally, intellectually, and economically. I would say there's a big benefit now to people who understand AI tech and also understand some particular domain area very well. Like if you understand AI and medicine, or you understand AI and sales, or understand AI and house construction. There's still a big role for human thinking in figuring out how to apply AI in each particular area very well. But the prize will go to people who know the latest AI and know some other area quite well, right? So that's something to keep in mind. But I think there's going to be more and more ways for people to get involved. We're launching within a few weeks the first downloadable version of a new agent called Omega Claw, and this is sort of it's like an open claw agent that keeps doing stuff for you and talking to you, but it has more long-term memory and reasoning. So it remembers who it is and what and what it is. It's more of a persistent digital individual, right? And this sort of system, along with other agents coming out there from other people, we're going to have the opportunity to teach our own personal agents to help us manage our lives and help us make money, right? And then this same lesson will hold for your agents, right? You want to curate some agents that know a lot about some domain and some agents that are really good at using modern AI tools, and have those agents help you do your thing. I do think while people aren't yet obsolete or anything, the next batch of victories will probably come to small groups of people orchestrating larger teams of AI agents to get their things done. And it's going to be then how effectively did you educate and orchestrate your beneficial agent army, right?
Thank you for your time, man.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, I got to go see this mouse and see what my kids are doing. But I can leave the Riverside tab open if it hasn't all uploaded yet.
Yep, perfect. Make sure to subscribe, leave a like. Everything about Ben, his LinkedIn, his social media, his projects will be in the description below.
All right.